Okay, one more story before we go to break. As I've told you, Donald Trump has been catalyzing and coalescing some of the most rancid and putrid elements of American society, including white supremacists and all sorts of nativists and xenophobes. And he's been now endorsed by David Duke. He's former KKK leader, right? I don't know if he was like a grand leader or head witch in charge. I don't know what the ranks are there. But anyway, he was like a higher up in the KKK. Who knows what exactly was his position. He really likes Trump. He thinks Trump would, for example, quote, break up the Jewish-dominated lobbies and make sure that, quote, white Americans are allowed to preserve and promote their heritage and interests. Trump was asked about this on CNN, and he refused initially to disavow or denounce David Duke or disavow or denounce the KKK, sort of saying, I really haven't heard much about either of them, so how can I denounce something I don't know much about? Let's take a look at the video from that interview on CNN. Trump not handling this too well.
Condemn David Duke and say that you don't want his vote or that of other white supremacists in this election?
Well, just so you understand, I don't know anything about David Duke, okay?
Right.
I don't know anything about what you're even talking about with white supremacy or white supremacists. So
no clue.
I don't know. I mean, I don't
Never
know.
heard of it.
Did he endorse me or what's going on? Because, you know, I know nothing about David Duke. I know nothing about white supremacists. And so you're asking me a question that I'm supposed to be talking about people that I know nothing about.
But I guess the question from the Anti-Defamation League is, even if you don't know about their endorsement, there are these groups and individuals endorsing you. Would you just say unequivocally you condemn them and you don't want their support?
Well, I have to look at the group. I mean, I don't know what group you're talking about. You wouldn't want me to condemn a group that I know nothing about. I'd have to look. If you would send me a list of the groups, I will do research on them, and certainly I would disavow if I thought there was something wrong. But you may have groups in there that are totally fine, and it would be very unfair. So give me a list of the groups, and I'll let you know.
Okay. I mean, I'm just talking about David Duke and the Ku Klux Klan here, but...
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know David Duke. I don't believe I've ever met him. I'm pretty sure I didn't meet him, and I just don't know anything about him.
Okay, so I guess he doesn't know enough about the KKK. He hasn't really heard of that group. He says, I need to look at them. Maybe I want the KKK's endorsement. Maybe I don't. Now, even the David Duke thing is ridiculous. He does know David Duke. He certainly knows about him. In 2000, citing him, as well as Pat Buchanan and Lenora Fulani, in a statement that year, Trump explained why he had decided to end his brief flirtation with a Reform Party presidential campaign. He said the Reform Party now includes a Klansman, Mr. Duke, a neo-Nazi, Mr. Buchanan, and a communist, Ms. Fulani. This is not company I wish to keep. So that's bogus, unless he forgot. And number two, who doesn't know about the KKK at this point? Is it legitimate to say, hey, any group, I've got to research them because I just don't know about them? Couldn't you say, if you were ready, couldn't you just say, if you were willing politically, yeah, of course I disavow the KKK. And he has since backtracked. He says, yeah, I disavow David Duke. I've disavowed him in the past and blah, blah, blah. I don't want anything to do with it. But a real misstep in a sense. But I have a feeling that the 35% of the Republican Party that already supports Trump, they're not going to be swayed away because Trump embraces a David Duke endorsement if that is what he had done.
Yeah, probably not. I think I don't see what would have been wrong with his response if he said, I don't like anything they do. I don't like them. But if they want to vote for me, I'll take every vote I can get.
Sure.
Because when I'm in office, I won't stand for that stuff, whatever.
And I would be the president of everybody. I'd be the president. He could have turned it around in some more logical statement. Instead, he said today that he'd had trouble hearing the questions because he had a problem with his earpiece, which is just ridiculous because he said specifically, I don't know if I've met David Duke. I don't think I've met. He knew exactly who he was being asked about by Jake Tapper. How on earth could you blame a bad earpiece? What happens if you have a bad earpiece is you say, I don't know whose name you said, not I don't know who that person you mentioned is, who I clearly heard you say. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, I hope now he's getting coached on how to better answer these types of questions.
Yeah.
But I say there's no shame in saying you'll take any vote from anyone. You don't have to agree with them personally or their policy or whatever, but and just stop the lying.
Stop the lying.
The evidence is out
nonsense.
there. People are going to prove you wrong. It's going to be all over the internet. Just don't lie.
Let's take a break. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/David Pakman Show. Post on there about what your thoughts are on this story.